day, ignorant millennials. Welcome back to another segment of T1C. I'll be your host, Thokozani, and we're here to delve into their SME segments. Hi guys, welcome back.
Hi, thank you.
Can you guys introduce yourself, because obviously they haven't seen you yet, right?
Yeah. Hi everyone, my name is Fortunate Kosana.
Yeah, I'm Bafana.
I'm still Lisakhisha.
Well, welcome back, Bafana. It's been a minute.
Thank you.
Yeah, guys. So you guys had mentioned that you're gonna be expecting 120 million over the next 10 years, and 50% of that is gonna go towards your SMEs.
Yeah.
So maybe we can just start with how you guys, in the context of T1C, how do you guys define an SME?
Okay, so a small business in the context of T1C and the investments that we're looking to make is any black-owned business that is based in the township, either a startup or a business that has been operational and is looking to grow, but it has to be based in a South African township.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is the same space where most banks usually don't want to play into, and I think this has been left into the eye of the government. Mostly government has been servicing this industry, but obviously they do debt financing. So how would you guys then go about doing it, and what gives you guys the confidence to think that you can participate in this space and actually get returns in it?
I have some background in working with small businesses in townships. And what we've come to know, or what we've learned through the experience, is that small businesses in townships have a market. Most of the businesses in townships are very basic. It's food businesses, it's clothing businesses. They're very basic and very simple. And they have a market, and all they need basically is obviously funding. But more than that, they need the skill to be able to execute their businesses. They need to formalize their businesses so that they track their finances and the very things that make other big businesses profitable and functional. That's what's lacking in small businesses. And that's why we've identified small businesses as the gap in the market, and that's why we would like to focus on that.
Okay, so I hear you saying you obviously need funding, and most importantly, the skills. And so how you guys, I think that's where you guys probably would like to empower them the most, and probably if they are empowered in that way, you guys would then make your most returns. But then how you guys looking into empowering them with those skills? What's your model with in regards to that?
Yeah, and I think maybe if I can take it to a previous question as well, where you mentioned that government mostly goes with funding. And I think to what Fortunate has said has been her experience, my experience to a limited extent. Everybody wants to give the township money and then quickly bring it back. They're very scared of going into the townships. As most South Africans who have come through that township setup, we know that you go and buy your car, you don't stress that it's going to get stolen. You understand the dynamics of the township. Why we decided to go into equity and not into, take the money and bring it back quickly is because by its very nature, equity says, I actually understand the value proposition that you're offering, and I actually want to take a part of it. That's actually why we're going in via equity, and that's part of then now how we're going to be helping those entrepreneurs. So for the longest time, I've done a bookkeeping for a number of township businesses. It starts with, help me prepare my books so that I can apply for funding. And it's one of those, no, I'm not preparing your books so that you can apply for funding. I'm preparing your books so that I can show you that you're a very self-sustainable business. And then we want to then start inculcating more of that mindset that actually you do have a market, you are profitable, you can expand, you can become this big. So I think that's the value proposition that we'll be adding on. And hopefully down the line, once people start to see that and starts to be able to take any township company and request a certain criteria that we may have proven over the time, they'll have something with which to be able to say, okay, that's a new equity market that we'd also like to participate in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And to add color to that, so remember, the way we're approaching this is that we're saying our criteria for the investors and co-shareholders we want in are people who are like-minded professionals who are financially literate, right? So what we're trying to do into this market with the background and experience we all have in that space, we almost want to bring in a sense of dignity, right? And saying debt won't give you that, right? So we understand that. Remember, when someone says township businesses are risky, we ask, where's the risk, right? So these are cash-generating businesses that have been, for some of them, operating for generations, right? But the big problem that we're seeing in this market is that there's a big psychological or mentality of small business, and knowing how well these are performing, small business isn't the category that they should stay in and be defined by, right? So with the quality and caliber of shareholders that we're insourcing, we actually, to answer your question of what is the value we're giving to them, we put ourselves as shareholders and taking equity in the businesses, an opportunity for them to say, how do we grow? How do we scale? What does scaling mean? How do we add value to a company or business? Which, when you think of corporate social investment, what is that, right?
Yeah.
So the way we're looking at this unit is to say that one business, be it like a quarter business or be it a hair salon or whatever the case may be, cash generating business, they now position themselves to actually employ more people, and that isn't our objective, but we know it'll come as a result of empowering that community, right? So we insource the skills from the shareholders of what 1-2 will be, and that's why that is the kind of shareholder we want. And those businesses that we invest in, we're saying we know that what your business does is very lucrative. It has a sustainable empowerment effect. We want to help that business grow and scale to the next level, because it's not a charity, but it's how, think of it as one or T1C being a channel for capital, but in where it's needed the most. And to give, hogging it a bit now, but to give context to how this originally started, right? So we said, coming back to the point of we need to channel capital where it's actually needed, right? We initially wanted to fund startup ideas from scratch, from zero, like nothing. Solve a problem for us, prove the model, let us know that you know your market. But then we take a step back and say, is that where the capital is needed the most? And that's where our experience comes in, because we've seen it, we understand it. We said, where are the businesses with most bookkeeping experience and fortunate experience of small businesses? Where are those little pivotal moments where if you inject capital, it has the benefits that we actually want? So, but we're not letting go of that, right? We're saying, let's attack where capital is needed the most, and we'll slowly slide back down, because those problems still exist, and we want to channel capital in actually solving them.
Okay, maybe now, if I may ask, then how do you guys then come about? How do you value that business? Say, okay, we're gonna put in, this much, but obviously now it's equity. You need to know how I'm buying shares into this business. How do I value that? And now, obviously, those people don't have a board of directors, so you can't just I'm gonna have someone sit in that board of directors. So now, how do you guys keep track on your investment in those businesses? Because I can imagine 60 million rand township business. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of businesses. How you guys plan on keeping track of how they perform and all those things then?
Yeah. So. Remember, our introduction into this market and this space is by no means meant to make it more complicated. So it's combining or a hybrid of fundamentals of investing or understanding how businesses work. So these companies, these are run by people who have a very good understanding of their company, have a track record of how well they've been performing, and have a good understanding of how they are likely to perform going forward, right? So with our experience as a team, we have a very good way of understanding how, if you take normal principles of investing, say present value of the future cash flows, right? Then we place the value of what we stand to bring in as T1C and approximate that portion of our stake in there. Without looking to cannibalize them or take it away from them. Because look at us as just injecting capital, but mostly resources, into actually growing these businesses. And that's why 50% is going into this, right? 50% is a lot, but we know that these communities form part of more than 50% of our entire country. So we're not going to look at their government to come and solve that. We are almost taking our own responsibilities. But with that benefit coming to your pocket still.
And I think too, but to Bafana's point, entrepreneurs understand their market very well. It so happens that all the skills pulled towards Sandton, for example,
Mhm.
and not necessarily towards Mamelodi. And all we're doing is we're saying, hey, instead of me being a accountant at XYZ Limited with nice streets and whatnot, let me actually go apply those exact same skills in the township. And to that, again, it becomes almost like a private equity valuation, like any other. You first understand how big the market is, how much of the market the business can capture, and then it's a discussion of how much of that you're willing to share it with me. And from there we execute on that. With the big insurance that ultimately the market has to be bigger than the business. Yeah.
So, but then how do you guys keep track of your investments in those businesses then?
Yeah. To that, so on the ground, firstly, with Fortunate Skills, for example, it's understanding firstly what is the investment. So it's money, and then it's human capital.
Mhm.
So in human capital, first you'll see the changes that you're making in that business. That's one way of keeping track. And when it comes to the money aspect of it, at the end of the day, we have a very sophisticated IT wing. In T1C, we're completely virtual. Part of that is tracking how well we're doing in those businesses. And if you're looking for a ticker timer, like a stock market number that says that today this business is valued at this, that's not how a small business is run. A small business owner doesn't wake up today and say, okay, today I'm running a 4.8 million rand valued business. Let me go and do 4.8 million rands worth of business. So our tracking is going to lie a lot on the qualitative side, seeing initiatives that we impart yield the reward, that sort of thing. The fact that it's equity, and that's the nice thing about it as well. Unlike with debt, you wouldn't even have to track that. You put in the money, and if they're meeting the debt repayments, your investment is doing well. Whereas with us, we actually have to generate that investment. So it's not a passive approach of how we're tracking it. It's more active. What are the matrices and items that we're going to be looking at to see? And I think, as I said, without now being overly redundant, the biggest one is, are we capturing that market? Are we seeing an improvement in the way the business owner understands the business? Are we seeing more initiatives that are basically being rolled out in that community by that particular business?
And just to add on to Sekhi's point, so what we'll be doing is putting in helping the business owners put in systems. They're already running the businesses are already profitable, but they may be not aware how profitable they are. And the reason for that is because they don't have the systems that corporate has. And what the reason why we need to be hands-on in these businesses is so that we help them put in systems that will enable us as well to monitor the growth and progress as we go on with this.
Okay, maybe for a last question before you guys just close it up. Now, do these SMEs find you, or do you find them? And also, maybe how big does an SME have to be for you guys to actually assist them?
So the businesses will have to apply on our website. They'll have to fill in a questionnaire basically that is very simple. It's really not very complicated. And how we've set up our website is so that if a business owner cannot do that themselves, because we understand the market, we understand the types of businesses that we're working with, they can contact us or request a call, and we take them through the application process. And that will give us basically all the information that we need for us to be able to assess whether this is a business that we would like to work with or not.
Yeah, and I like that. There was a very neat touch from Fortunate. Instead of sitting back and saying apply to us and then we're going to be a headmaster that puts red ticks on a page and then congratulations, you've got our funding, we're actually saying that if in the event that you need us to assist you, apply to us. We actually want to do that because we want to invest. We want to unlock that market.
Because I'm thinking, and obviously I'm running out of time now, I'm thinking because obviously not most township businesses are well versed in all this, getting funding and where to get funding, like you said. Usually come to you like, help me with this so I can get funding. Usually don't know where to. So what does T1C then do in order to find these people?
We'll fetch them. We connect with what is it? Business
Yeah.
communities, business hubs, leads. Fortunate to bear testament that almost every single day I'm sending her a number, follow up on this. So yeah, the easy. I think maybe Fortunate answered. Once we've gotten hold of them, what do? They go and fill in the questionnaire. So that's one way. But then the other way, as I say, we're looking for them. So we go and fetch them, take leads, whatnot.
And I mean, if you just think about it, we all know that auntie on the corner, the uncle that has a car wash, like these are all businesses that in one way or another we've been affected by.
Influence.
Those ones as well, right?
Refer them to us.
And the whole point is that there is absolutely no need or reason why those businesses stay just like that, because they have such a massive impact in these communities, right? So T1C, at least it's the responsibility we've taken to how do we grow these types of businesses so that they grow from where they are now to actually becoming large one day corporations, and they create an impact for that community as opposed to just staying small.
Yeah, and for me to say that, I mean, I send leads to Fortunate. It looks very small when it's me, the one person doing it. Remember, I'm one out of 1,000. Our shareholders are people in the townships. They're people that are wondering, hey, why isn't my business? I'm a member of this thing that invests in township businesses. Why isn't this business getting funding? And the nice thing is we all shareholders. There isn't, let me call management. You are management, right? Bring it to your attention of your investment club that I want this business invested in. The same way that you would bring to the attention of your investment club that, hey guys, I saw this nice property on the corner of whatever. Can we have a look at that? We're an investment club.
No, guys, I really like, the model. I hope that you guys get a lot of, investors to go into invest from all around the country, because I can assume there's a lot of township businesses that need help out there that can be grown to from where they are now to better heights, and hopefully maybe you guys can also reach them with the 50% of the entire pot. But maybe in closing, what do you guys have to say about this, what you guys are trying to do, and how do you want people to perceive it?
The investing in township businesses.
Yes.
If I can leave the lady to go for
So we're saying that townships are a market, and you always hear small businesses talking about access to markets, and you go into a township and there's business that's going on there already, and you'll see that when they put up a mall in the township, you'll see by the number of people that flock into those townships. But why don't we build the businesses that are already in the townships to capture that market that is already there? So we're saying that we've identified that for sure, without a doubt, there is business in townships, and the only thing that is lacking is for those businesses to formalize and grow from there. And we're saying we want to come into that space and grow with those businesses.
Look, for me, I think T1C is an opportunity to have this unit become a unique asset class that becomes an option for the masses as an alternative investment. The mere fact that people regard it as a risky venture baffles us, but the point is, a quota business can become a corporation someday, and it needs us to do that, and I'm very excited about us looking into doing that.
For me, I'm excited, To Bafana's point, the baffling, I grew up in the space, and I could instinctively understand what's what. I used to sell biscuits to buy books, that sort of thing, and I can see it. Not even I can see it every time I'm there. All the money opportunities. I had to go study to be able to understand JSE listed companies and Louis. Yet this market that I didn't need to study for is riskier than this market that I now understand and happily invest in. So I think, as Bafana said, it opens up a new asset class that I think most of us know exists. Nobody has just ever packaged for us and said, oh, this is what it looks like.
All right then, thank you, lady and gentlemen.
Thank you.
And I hope you guys enjoyed this segment, and please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on this show.
Cheers.